Hello, I'm Anthony. Work continues apace on the River album that I'm currently working on. This is going to be track 3. It's a song called Snowfall. Now, long-time followers of my channel will know that this is one of the old channel favourites. I've actually done 2 previous versions of this song in both 2020 and 21. And I remember when I did the mix in 21 saying that it's entirely possible that I'll mix this song every year for the rest of the life of this channel. Now, I said that kind of tongue-in-cheek at the time, and yet here we are in 2022 with it reappearing. It's track 3 on the album, and there's a deliberate contrast between this song and the previous song, The Dream. It's the emotional low point of the album. It's a very angry and dark song, and it's quite a deliberate move on my part to basically put a love song after it. Snowfall is a very gentle song and one of the nicer songs that I've written. I'm really very fond of it. And so I'm currently working on trying to glue those 2 things together. But today we're just talking about the Snowfall itself. I've done quite a bit of work on this track in the past month or so as I've been preparing it to become track 3 of the album. It's always surprising to me every time I come back to any piece of music that I've finished previously. When I rework it, it always sounds so much better to me than the previous version, and I just don't know how long that's going to carry on for. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to play the entire thing. I'll shut up, mute the mic, we'll listen to the entire song, and then we'll come back and have a chat about some of the things that I've done and how I hope to integrate it into the album. Let's deal first with the new vocal line. So this was the biggest change that's been made to this version of the song. The old lead vocal, I was very happy with the performance. I was very unhappy with the recording quality. This goes back to basically just learning on the job. I'm figuring out how to get the noise into this thing. See where it is now? Only in the last month has it actually moved this close to my face, because I finally got around to doing some forensic testing to figure out where it's supposed to be. This microphone is really happy being not very far away from a person's mouth. Pauline used to stand about a foot away from it when she was singing, and in order to get anything like a decent signal, I would have to crank the input gain right up. What that meant was that I was introducing a colossal noise floor. Now, in naive and stupid ignorance, I thought an easy way to fix that was just to throw a noise processor on the input bus. So I had RX7 sat there basically filtering all of that noise back out. I was very pleased with myself, completely failing to appreciate how many high frequencies, the singer's high frequencies, are being thrown away as well. There's no way. RX7 is very good and will reduce the noise on your signal very effectively, but it's going to throw stuff away too. And so we ended up with a dramatically inferior version of the vocals. I'll A-B them for you now. Okay, I found a section of vocals that I can use to demonstrate as clearly as possible the difference between the two. I've thrown away all inserts, send effects. I've also balanced the two tracks. You can see that the original one was slightly hotter. That's only because I've turned the input gain up. You can hear the difference between these two tracks. So the original one first. Let's just hear the phrase itself.
Lost in our dreams.
Okay, here's the new version.
Lost in our dreams.
Can you hear how much brighter and more present the vocals are? It's because that instance of RX7 that used to be on the input bus, hard cutting everything. Thank you, police siren. That's another problem that I have. I live on a main road, so I've got to try and be careful to cut as much of that stuff out as possible. But you can hear the difference between those two performances. It's really clear. I've set up a cycle point here where there's no singing. Now ignore the fact that Pauline's taking a breath. You can't do anything about that. But we're listening for the background noise. So this is the new version. So apart from the fact that Pauline's breathing, the actual ambient environment is very quiet. Here's the old version. Absolute chalk and cheese. That was the primary difference I needed to get rid of, that constant hum in the background. Now this song wasn't particularly bad. This is one of the less egregious instances of vocal performances, so I probably hadn't really cranked the input level up, and Pauline was stood a little bit closer to the microphone than in other songs, but nevertheless with the new version she was stood maybe 4 inches away with a pop shield right against her mouth, and as much different distance between the pop shield and the microphone as possible, as per what I now understand to be technical procedures. But the important thing was nice and close, input level at 12 o'clock on the audio interface, and now we've got this almost silent background. Oh, sorry, that's the old one. Yeah, it's just so quiet. So vastly superior. The performances themselves were closely equivalent. Pauline sings very well almost all of the time. It's very, very rare that she has an off day. So I was always perfectly happy with her sung performance. But nevertheless, the technical quality of the production has increased significantly. And so we don't need that old version anymore, just using the new one. And that lifts the entire song. There is nothing like the vocal performance to raise the quality of the entire song. So we've got that really strong backbone. The other thing that I discovered, I don't know how this stuff passes me by. It is genuinely astonishing. I'd recorded the bass guitar in stereo, so I had a bass stereo track for absolutely no reason at all. I've thrown one of them away, so I'm left with a genuine mono signal now. Now, I didn't keep the stereo track, but basically it was just totally unnecessary clutter. Why on earth I'd recorded it in stereo, I don't know, but there you go. This was probably going back sufficiently far for me to have used my old setup where I used to basically record everything out of the amplifier in stereo, and I basically just plugged the bass guitar into my amplifier, came out of the whatever processor I was using, probably the GT100. Let's just have a really quick listen to the bass. Now then, let's have a look at the number of effects, insert effects on that bass track. I had the decapitator on, and when I came back and listened to it again, I thought, why? Well, it was designed to provide harmonics, to provide extra saturation, higher frequencies that would help cut through the mix. Rubbish, absolute rubbish. What am I doing? This is the case of somebody learning a new trick and putting it on the song, regardless of whether or not it needed it. Let's have a listen to With and Without Decapitator.
You and I, my love, timeless it seems, fading.
It's obviously quite difficult to pick out the bass in the context of the song, but that's the only place it actually matters. I'll solo it and we can hear the difference a little bit more nakedly.
Like for
Not doing much, is it? Just adding a little bit of extra harmonics. If it's not obviously enhancing the song, throw it away. So I'm much happier with the clarity of the bass now. So I'll listen to the rhythm. A few things have changed with the rhythm. I've improved the stereo separation between the various sounds. It was okay in the last mix and was something that I had worked on. It's better now. And I've also introduced an extra layer of percussion. This bongos line is new. And I'm separating congos and congas and bongos left and right, as you can see. And it's really making a lovely kind of contrasting thing in my ears. I'm enjoying that a lot. The other thing that I've added is this this hats 2. It's actually a ride, shouldn't be calling it hats. Let's just hear that on its own. That's all the hats and cymbals. And that extra ride is just really adding a little bit of shimmer. Panned fairly hard right. Let's pull the rest of the drums back in. I was always fairly happy with the rhythm section of this song. Now I'm very happy. Next thing, quite a bit of work rejigging the keyboard lines. I had this sound carpet layer, and it was basically literally doing that. It was like throwing a carpet over the song. Let's hear what it's doing on its own. It's this really soft, beautiful sounding pad. It's a very nice sound. I think it comes from Omnisphere, I can't exactly remember. The problem was, it was washing the song out. Between these two, the carpet layer solo and the carpet layer chords, they were basically just filling too much of the frequency range, so whole swathes of it have been cut away. I'll put a link to my original Back on Track series so that you can check out the history of this piece of music if you're interested, but carpet layer used to be far more predominant. The other sound that's just been introduced is this funky little thing. It doesn't do much. but it just adds an extra little spiky bit in a couple of sections in the song where I thought the energy had just dipped a little bit and it needed a bit of a pick-me-up.
Fading like footfalls and memories.
And when your ear's kind of bored of that sound after about 8 bars, the bells come in and take over, and it's very nice. Let's hear that contrast.
Endlessly now, as echoes of the door.
I've always really liked that bell sound, but it's nice now to have that contrast between the brasher, synthy kind of arpeggio sound. Let's have a look at my suite of effects on the master bus. So the API 2500 into this Arturia EQ unit, and finally onto the LA2A, and that is my suite of master processing. I put this combination of sounds together when I wrote River Song and created it as a track insert, loaded it onto both the Dream and Snowfall, and just utterly delighted with the effect that both of them are having. It's very subtle compression, just a very gentle boost on the mids and the highs, and essentially the three effects when combined together are just really glorious, and I can't find any reason to mess with any of them. So I'll A/B a little bit of what that's doing.
Fade away. We hearken to the call, but for those that remember,
Tricky to do a genuine comparison because that's clearly getting louder.
whisper in the rain.
A little bit of gain boost on each of the 3 units, so combining them together is providing something like a 4 dB boost, I think, on the master bus, but nevertheless, even when they're volume equalized, there is quite a difference. The entire song is just glued together much better. There may have been a couple of volume spikes in there. I'll fix any in post-production if I have to. Delighted with the way that this song has worked out. The next task is now to glue this onto the end of the Dream. So basically, as I'm finishing each of these songs, I'm going back into my album project. Now I don't have to do something fancy in between every song on the album, but at least I want to try. The transition between River Song and the Dream worked out really well, with me using some kind of sound effects based thing, and I'm going to have a bit of a play with these 2 songs, see whether or not there's anything that can be done to really marry them together. So that's 3 songs finished, having just the greatest fun. This is write an album. It's just so much fun. I hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, please hit the like button. I'll see you for the next one. Thanks very much.